Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing very well and thriving during these mad times. I had to jump on and put this presentation together, reading through this article that I just found because it is immense and it really perked me up because it ties in perfectly the allegory behind Stranger Things. Again, a few other movies down the line which we'll get to. That otherwise talks about this whole CERN Hadron Collider, the Montauk project especially, and the opening up of these interdimensional portals to black hole force systems, i.e. demonic realities and realms and dimensions, okay, where a lot of parasitical beings are residing, okay, and how that spilled over on Earth, okay, over this kind of, brainwashed, media controlled zombie land of these idiots, fucking just going and participating in the controlled matrix, okay, that's otherwise happening underneath all this surface level bullshit that they spin in the media, which, as we all know, anyone here on my channel is fully versed in the fact of they hide all this stuff in the motion scriptures, in the TV series, the movies, the soft disclosures, predictive programming, telling us what happened before, what's going on now, and what's to maybe happen in the future, given our kind of infinite possibility of different timelines based on the decisions we make in terms of what we're going to come to experience. Okay, but this is going to get into the nitty gritty of the darkness that all of us as true spiritual warriors who've come in to incarnate on this planet at this time must face. Okay, and I love the saying, I came across the saying last week from a woman called, I think it's Gwen Wyckoff, who's otherwise doing a lot of work in the sovereignty movement, okay, and I thought it was beautiful. She had these two sayings talking about the aegis of power and how these guys, the cabal at governmental level, what they're doing, the money and controlling things in the 3D here on Earth, okay, she talks about until you know evil, you know nothing, okay, until you know love, you have nothing. And that just otherwise means that if you're ignorant to the schemes, devices, technologies, and methods that are used by evil, then you're just going to be susceptible and you're going to more than likely become a victim and a prey to these predators. Because unfortunately, the time matrix we're in, based on the things that have happened, if those of you are familiar with Ashiana Dean's teachings with the whole time matrix history and the fallout in heaven and the rupture in space-time that's created all these black hole falls and the wormhole structures of all these demonic entities that we're able to pass through and probe into living systems to feed off of, and this is what's gone on, okay, and this is what we're going to have to come to face the facts and try and step out of that Luciferian kind of love light programming of not willing to face the kind of false, new age movement, and not willing to face the true darkness that does exist. It's very much part of the fabric of even us incarnating into these bodies, where a lot of us are carrying these ill codes that we came here to transmute. Okay, so we must get rid of just the love, light, fairiness, fluff, and face the darkness, knowing that we can walk in the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil as the indigo starseeds that we are, carrying very high codes and high psychic abilities, which is otherwise portrayed in this character 11, okay, in the Stranger Things storyline, which is based completely off the back of what these fucking stupid cabal Illuminati government minions were probing and playing around with when they were thinking that they were working with kind of the gods of this time matrix, right, which are all just fallen angelic races. So these guys are going to wake the fuck up, and it's kind of like we're here down in this mess as a result of you guys not realizing what the fuck you have done. It's kind of like a fuck man, you know what I mean? I loved experiencing and living in a nice Christic reality, a time matrix, but as a result, we come down here in order to volunteer to help at least keep the frequencies on Earth long enough for people to get the fuck out of it, because I don't think things are looking too good. Who knows? Don't quote me on that. You just got to stay positive regardless, okay? And just remember, until you know evil, you know nothing. Negative feedback is only positive to a positive person, okay? And negative information in situations is only positive for a true warrior when understanding thy enemy. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Okay, so this will serve those souls who are meant to hear this information in order to rise up and face the reality and kind of take it on with a grin on your face. Okay, because I've been, a lot of us here, I've been in the battle, for the last 3 years. Every day, I have entities trying to come into my body and possess me and take me over. So I'm carrying very high codes. I know that, as a lot of you will be as well, as indigo, starseeds. Everyone's at different levels, right? But this is the beauty of knowledge. Knowledge is power, and it's going to really help activate and unlock our collective consciousness in order to also activate DNA in our accretion levels in order to start unlocking higher sensory abilities, psychic powers, supernatural abilities, because this is what they're trying to suppress in those beings that have incarnated here at this time in order to try and get one up on us. They can ultimately come in and possess us. And unfortunately, there's a lot of indigo hunts that have happened ever since 2020, and there's a lot of body snatching that has happened as a result of that, right? Which this will get into the mechanics of, okay, which is quite easy, which is what the kind of whole Jabberwocky agenda, got to be careful with the words I use here if I put this on YouTube, the so-called, Jabberwocky agenda that's been going on ever since 2020 is doing. Okay, and it's opening portals within our bodies, as above so below, as within so without, that's allowing these entities to pass through different time-space locations and dimensions in order to infiltrate. Okay, that this article will otherwise break down perfectly. Okay, so I want you to read along with me and be absolutely amazed by the end of it and just applaud this author in putting all the strings together, connecting all the dots, and just laugh, because at the end of the day, if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. And just the situation you're in, you got the fucking Illuminati circus matrix outside, and then we got us beings who are carrying this kind of knowledge. It's kind of like, it's difficult to go back to just doing the mundane shit of just having to work to fucking pay for your food and fucking house, shelter, when all this stuff is actually going on. A lot of you can testify, like myself. Most nights, like I said, most days, I'm battling. It's a constant battle. But this is the point of being a warrior. You have your shit together, keep your energy amped up, your field strong, and do all the things, the practices, the techniques, the meditations, in order to know who you are. Remember who you are and how powerful you are. Okay, so as much as this is going to be a lot of negative information and kind of so-called darkness, but think of it as us bringing the darkness to light. Okay, and transmuting it through knowing. And that's the only way we're going to come to know the darkness and shine light, is to bring our awareness into what is hiding otherwise in the darkness, the shadow dwellers. Okay, and this is why such films such as Stranger Things and a lot of these horror films, actually, to be honest, are very, very lucrative for the spiritual warrior, the light warrior, the true Christian, in order to understand some of the mechanisms, entities, and techniques that the darkness and the evil ones use and do against us in order to gain ground to perpetuate their agenda. Okay, and like I said before, let's go back to evil, nothing. Okay, so like any general, any wise spiritual warrior or soldier during these times must understand the darkness, must understand the enemy in order to transmute and overcome it. Okay, so keep that in mind as we read through. Stay positive. You are protected, you are divine, you are eternal, and you are strong as fuck. Okay, we're all in this together. You're not alone. There's many of us here, and we are going through a battle. Yes. Okay, we're just going to stay positive and keep pushing through, and there will be peace when all is done. Okay, there will be peace when you are done. That's a brilliant song that came into my hologram probably like 5 or 6 years ago. It was very fitting around the time. Kansas City, I think it is. So yeah, with that being said, let's dive straight into it. Stranger Things. I mean, I started watching this. I watched the first 3 seasons, and I started watching season 4 beginning of this year. But I was kind of like really under attack, and I didn't have the consciousness at the time to kind of receive the information that would have been coming through, as well as dealing with what I had to deal with. So I kind of like watched the first episode, and I was like, I saw the entity at the end, and I was kind of like, okay, I'm not ready for this yet. So just, and then it's funny how it popped up 4 months later, and I'm kind of like, well, there we go. Now I'm ready. I'm kind of back on top of me coming back to England. Like I said before in my previous video, it was fucking hellish for 6 weeks here. And it's been on and off, but it's been easier for me to kind of ground myself and deal with the attacks that have been hurled at me through technology and astral attacks. Everything they're trying to hurl at me, right? Probably the same as you guys. So I was just like, okay, I'm not ready for that information yet. Can't carry the frequencies. I'm dealing with other shit, but now I am. So I'm going to go off the back of this and obviously tune into season 4 and see what it's all about, and pick up on some more stuff that otherwise maybe isn't covered in this article. But this breaks it down perfectly. Okay, so you've got Stranger Things. Anyone familiar, go away and watch it off the back of this, because it's just going to shed more light. And this is otherwise probing into our actual reality. Okay, there is multiple dimensions. This is otherwise outlined perfectly in Ashiana's work, right? With our interdimensional Beckett ecosystems and our Stairway to Heaven map. Okay, and you can go on to Emerald Covenants, YouTube channel that is still up, hasn't been taken down. That's got all of our original teachings, and that there is a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that's only going to aid one on their journey of ascension and enlightenment. Okay, and in understanding our metaphysics and quantum physics and nature of our reality, basically, and it's all science. It can all be explained, but it's all science at the end of the day, even the spirit worlds. Okay, so let's get straight into this. Right. So it says the theoretical knowledge of quantum physics is very profound and boring, just like the information given by the guardian information. Okay, that's otherwise what's dispensed through Ashiana Dean. For those of you not in the know, that's otherwise an incarnated being, supposedly from Sirius star system, which is dimension 6, who is an ascended master who has memory, came in to activate a memory, specifically to become a speaker to transcribe information from a holographic disc that she can channel. She doesn't like calling it channeling, but it's otherwise a transmission device that can't be interfered with from the Guardians. And the Guardians are a group of beings who are overseeing the bioregenesis of this time matrix and trying to reach a resolution, which I think unfortunately hasn't worked, because these entities they rule with an iron fist. Can't take no for an answer. Things gone from bad to worse, and as a result, they are doing a lot of good work though to prevent, inevitable destruction and annihilation. It's just buying us more time, and that's who she is, and she otherwise dispenses all this wonderful ascension teaching knowledge. That you can tune into, which I highly recommend doing for anyone on this journey who wishes to ascend, in order to collate and accrete, all the other knowledge that you've acquired on your journey so far. So, it is very, the guardian information is very brain intensive to study, but if they are processed artistically, written into science fiction or filmed into fantasy movies and TV dramas, often gain unexpected love and even popular fire. Okay, this is translated from Chinese, so there might be a little bit of grammatical error in this, but it should be pretty much self-explanatory as we read through it. Stranger Things is a good example. During the Chinese New Year last year, I watched all 4 seasons in one go. It topped Netflix's list of the most played and most popular film and television dramas, and its reputation is absolutely well deserved. The theme of the play is mainly about supernatural phenomena in alternate time and space. The story takes place in the small town of Hawkins, Indiana, and begins with the mysterious disappearance of a boy, Will, as his family, friends and police start looking for clues. With the appearance of a girl with superpowers, 11, a secret experiment that triggers supernatural powers is gradually revealed. Okay, you can see the kind of interpretation, the upside down world here, the shadow world, and these entities. Regarding the concept of parallel Earth or parallel worlds, it is a bit difficult to explain it in an easy to understand manner. Physics teacher Clark in the Stranger Things drama made me amazed and applauded. This is the impression left by the first season. The most profound plot from the 5th episode of the first season, Fleas and Acrobats, the trio refers to the 3 boys in the play, Mike, Lucas and Dustin. Again, this is a dialogue from the actual movie, it's the TV series itself in that episode. So you've got the trio, which are the 3 boys, says, Mr. Clark, did you know that Carl Sagan described other dimensions in the universe? For example, places beyond our world, theoretically. How can we get there? And the physics teacher replied, you're thinking about Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation, aren't you? In theory, there are parallel universes much like our world, but with many differences. The many worlds interpretation proposed by American quantum physicist Hugh Everett is now widely held as the quantum multiverse. Okay, think of all the other movies that's come out, Infinity War, Quantum Mania, I think it's the recent one with Ant-Man. It's all showing this kind of like time loop systems, portals, wormholes, interdimensionality. I mean, it's pretty much common knowledge nowadays. Everyone knows that, it's just rife through the sci-fi community, and otherwise is the reality, the nature of our reality. Okay, we're all multidimensional beings. Trio responds, we wondered if there was an evil dimension, like the Valley of Shadows. Do you know the Valley of Shadows? And the physics teacher replies, the reflection of the material plane, that is, undead magic and shadow magic. Trio, yes, this is it. If there really is a place like the Valley of Shadows, how do we get there theoretically? And you've got a transcript here, you can see him saying, picture an acrobat standing on a tightrope. Now the tightrope is our dimension, and our dimension has rules. You can move forwards or backwards. Right next to our acrobat, there is a flea. Now the flea can also travel back and forth, just like the acrobat. It's kind of given an example using the paper plate, and the famous kind of folding it over and punching a hole through to show how we can merge the 2 realities and create a wormhole, basically. So the teacher took out a pen, I was going to explain it, a paper plate, and drew a picture to demonstrate. Imagine the acrobat standing on a steel wire. This steel wire is our dimension. Our dimension has rules. You can move forward and backward, but if there's a flea next to the acrobat, the flea can also go forward or backward, the same as the acrobat, right? So here comes the interesting part. The flea can still walk like this along the side of the rope, and he can even walk on the bottom of the rope. So the trio says upside down, but we're not fleas, we're acrobats. Physics teacher, exactly. In this metaphor, we are indeed acrobats. The trio responds, so we can't walk upside down. Physics teacher, yes and no. And so he goes on to show the trio, is there a way for acrobats to go to the inverse world? Physics teacher, well, you have to create a lot of energy, which is much stronger than what humans can produce now. So that time and space can be torn apart. Then the physics teacher folds the paper plate and pokes a hole towards the paper plate with the tip of a pen so he can create a channel. And the three boys like a portal. Physics teacher responds, yes, one entrance. Again, these are all theoretical. Okay, the trio respond, but what if the portal already exists? Physics teacher, if it exists, I think we will find out. It will affect gravity, magnetic field, our environment may even swallow us up. Science is indeed very powerful, but I'm afraid it is not benevolent. Okay, the value of shadows mentioned in the play comes from the epic fantasy series A Song of Ice and Fire by the American writer George R.R. Martin. The hit American drama Game of Thrones is adapted from A Song of Ice and Fire, 7 parts. The novel describes a city called Ashai, a port city in the Jade Sea, and the area next to Ashai is said to be a land of shadows shrouded in shadow. For this reason, the city is often called Ashai by the shadow, and going to Ashai is described as through the shadow. To the northeast of Ashai, there is a valley called the Vale of Shadows, a narrow cleft in the mountains, which cliffs so high and steep that there is no light in the valley except at noon. Legend has it that the caves of the cliffs are inhabited by demons and dragons and even more terrifying monsters. The 3 dragon eggs in Game of Thrones come from the land of shadows east of Ashai. This is a picture of Montauk, okay, in New York, in New Jersey, property of the state of New York. Area closed to the public, violators will be prosecuted. Okay, and it's otherwise got the underground bases, laboratories where all these experimentations were going on. And this is 11 in Stranger Things, and she's like the main protagonist, main character, and the hero in that plot. So you've got the plot of the first season reminds me of the Montauk experiment, Stranger Things, and the Montauk experiment not only can coincide in time, but also have the same story setting. Okay, the Montauk experiment took place in Montauk, Long Island, New York, in August 1983. The story of Stranger Things took place in Hawkins, Indiana, in November 1983. It tells the secret of the portal to the upside down world. The children's experiment started, and since the vision of the upside down world has gradually spread to the whole town. Zhao, I think this is 11, the character 11, who escaped from the secret experiment base, has special abilities beyond ordinary people. The specialty is remote viewing. The identity setting is very suitable for Montauk boys. Montauk boys all have special abilities. Features teenagers who sit in Montauk chairs to participate in the time travel experiment. Okay, now there's another tie-in, right, with the TV series called Fringe, and this outlines a parallel reality and dimension, and again, devices that are used in order to penetrate into this dimension and create a bridge in order to work with beings on the other side, where there is this kind of like there is this accident that is happening, this event that's going on that they need to rectify in these entities that otherwise are causing havoc. Okay, and there's this one being, again, they have experiments where there's particular people, especially this woman here, the main character, has clairvoyant, supernatural and psychic abilities that allow her to pass through into other dimensions, exactly the same as this being 11. Okay, and this is what I believe a lot of our star seeds carry the potential of in our DNA, just waiting to be unlocked. But this is the war that is going on at the moment with 5G, with the frequencies, with the pin systems that they've got on Earth, with the crystal Niberian data crystal grid bases, the Atlantic Pylon implant network systems, the satellites, you name it. Everything and anything is being used to try and suppress and keep us suppressed and from being activated in order to awaken these abilities. Okay, but this whole facilities that have been used for special individuals, and this goes into the super soldier talk, guys, as well, with what goes on with these experiments in order to try and help with this interdimensional battle that's going on, okay, behind the scenes, behind the Illuminati circuits. That is the wall that's pulled over many people's eyes in this fucking ridiculous bifurcated reality that we're all living in. So it goes on to say, Preston Nichols, okay, author of Montauk Project, Time Experiment, this is his book, okay, revealed in the book that Duncan sat on the Montauk chair and participated in the Philadelphia experiment and Montauk Project. Okay, August 5th, 1983, the experiment was carried out in Montauk on 12th of August 1943, when a tunnel was torn out of space-time and connected to the warship in Philadelphia on 12th of August 1943. They were very afraid of time collapse. Okay, so Duncan had always hated this base, so he wanted to close the entrance and destroy the whole project. As a result, when Duncan sat on the Montauk chair and was in the process of time and space transmission, he conjured a monster was caught, okay, and the monster emerged from the time rift. This plot is exactly the same as the plot setting of Stranger Things. Alright, in the play, the prototype of Eleven's character is Duncan. In the end, Eleven confessed to Mike and cried and told him that she opened the door and she was the monster. The monster was brought out by her subconscious fear. Okay, the gate opened it on the monster, and she otherwise let this being in through her psychic abilities. Opened the portal, accidentally, of course. So we have, the high degree of similarity and coincidence between the two is extremely suspicious. So I simply checked the internet, but I didn't expect that the original title of Stranger Things is Montauk. Alright, so the director, screenwriter, and producer of Stranger Things are all the Duffy brothers. A filmmaker, Charlie Kessler, accused the Duffy brothers of plagiarism. He said he met at the 2014 Tribeca Film Festival. The Duffy brothers at that time, he recommended himself to create the short film Montauk Project, the sequel to the short film Montauk. The Duffy brothers showed great interest on the spot, and Netflix announced the shooting of Stranger Things the next year. Okay, so it's basically looking at the Montauk Project hidden as an allegory, which otherwise Stranger Things is portraying. This shows that the story, background and character settings of Stranger Things were indeed created based on the Montauk experiment. Charlie Kessler and the Duffy brothers both created scripts based on the real-life Montauk experiment. This is great, I love this stuff, it's amazing. Okay, so you've got Duncan's brother, Al Bilek, who also participated in the Montauk experiment, revealed the government calls these projects the Black Hole Project. There are many black hole projects. The Montauk experiment is just one of them. This means that in essence, this is such a deep black hole project because all the records and everything related to it are buried in the black underground vault. This is all under the black card permission level. Black card is the highest level of permission. Most people don't even know it exists. No one can access this information without permission, and they need to know. This includes the purchasing department that bought the hardware for these items. All sales records, all purchase records, all buried in black vaults, so no one can find them. After many improvements, the time tunnel was fully operational in 1977. Okay, so around 1979, they got all the results they wanted. Interestingly, the opening scene of the 4th season of Stranger Things is the Hawkins National Laboratory in 1979. This is the origin timeline of the entire Strange series about Hawkins' bizarre events, childhood memories. As the plot of the 4th season unfolded, 11 gradually recalled the Forgotten Scar incident, which was the time when the space-time rift was triggered in 1979, and Montauk's time tunnel was fully put into use in 1977, and they got all the results they wanted around 1979, which shows that the government successfully opened the time tunnel in 1979 by using the experimental equipment built. The time setting of Stranger Things fits perfectly with the Montauk experiment. Okay, so you can see again, just proving the synchronicities there, the two stories. So the Montauk experiment and the Philadelphia experiment created time rifts, which Al Biller said occurred with the Eldridge invisibility experiment on August 12, 1943, and the Montauk experiment on August 12, 1983. These are intentionally designed to lock the time loop. They have to wait until that sequence is over, or they will interrupt part of the time history in this sequence and change history completely. The plot trend of the 4th season of Stranger Things is gradually in line with the time cycle. The key plot of the 4th season is the clock that appears frequently. It represents the countdown of the lives of those chosen by the devil. Time was always stopped in 1983 when Will, another character in Stranger Things, entered the reverse world in the 1st season, and several of them travelled back to the past through time and space. This plot corresponds to Montauk's time travel. Director Duffy Brothers revealed that the 5th season is planned to start filming this summer. It is said that this will be the last season of the Strange series, and the 5th season will form a closed loop with the 1st season. We can predict that the closed loop mentioned by the director refers to a closed loop in time. Fascinating. So it goes on, the story of the 2nd season of Stranger Things 2 is set on Halloween in 1984. The time points of the 2 seasons are exactly 1 year. At the end of the first season, after escaping from the upside down world, Will returned when he arrived at home. He coughed and spit out a worm, implying that he was carrying and infected with the virus against the world, and he became the host of the Spider Devil, the interface between the real world and the parallel world. So the beginning of the second season followed the past and the future. Will saw the vision of the parallel worlds repeatedly. He could perceive that there was a terrible demon king in the reverse world. A gigantic spider monster appeared in the dark night sky of the worlds. And those who've seen it, that's otherwise depicted there. That's the entity. So the Spider Devil appeared in the poster of the second season, which attracted my strong curiosity from the very beginning. I immediately thought of the Patola Spider-Man mentioned in the Guardian information, a fallen being from the parallel Eka fallen fields. These Patola Spider-Men from the parallel world just used the Yahweh Anu race to open the wormhole door to enter the Patala black hole, and the long-term isolation of the Patala virus is broken, and the retrovirus forms are unleashed in our Vecca universe. Yahweh is otherwise a fallen god. It's linked to Metatron, and it's kind of like an AI overlord within this time matrix that's deflecting primal light and sound fields that otherwise pour into organic time matrices in order to help replenish the eternal yang-yang flows of embodied essences of source that differentiated, and they refract it in order to serve their reversed Bay-Say Metatronic spirals of finite death, parasitical, having to eat, and be bound to time, basically, from 11.5 dimensions or below. So they're effectively cut off from the God world. So basically, locked out of heaven. But they've made this time matrix from 11.5 dimensions below their feeding grounds. Again, there's an inversion, a shadow world, that kind of mirrors this time matrix that has probably just as many dimensions up as it does down through the black hole pits, which is otherwise hell. These are the lower dimensional realms where all these entities reside. So it's very real, guys. So in 2004, Patola retrovirus entered the Earth, and I'll give you a representation of this, just to remind you. So this is the kind of Vecca system structure of our universe. You have the primal light and sound fields, which is adjacent at a 90 degree to our living matrix that is otherwise replenishing and feeding into our matrix. But then you've got a parallel system as well, and these systems are interlinked. There's a parallel that are interlinked, and these are all connected. And there's Veccas within Veccas, and as you go up through the dimensional scale, you rise higher, and things expand exponentially. It doubles. It's not part of the Fibonacci spiral of death, which is very limited. It otherwise doubles and expands exponentially. That's the growth of source. That's the source, eternal life, Christic mathematics, and all these Veccas within Veccas, universes within universes, are stacked one on top of another, and they're enmeshed into otherwise fractal versions of itself. That otherwise these entities are trying to probe into specific time matrices where there's holes in order to penetrate, in order to get beings, incarnated beings on this side, to do the biddings of their agenda and trick them, deceive them in order to build technology and do things that otherwise will help open and bring the frequencies to help open portals in order for them to come in and then take over effectively. And there's so many movies that kind of represent this. It's not that far a stretch of an imagination, especially those of you who are kind of like awakened on this journey, to realize that that's exactly what's going on. So it says here, in 2004, Patola retrovirus entered the Earth, and in 2009 the Earth was connected to the galactic black hole in the Milky Way, the Abaddon wormhole, which was helped by the CERN particle collision experiment. Combined with the time and plot setting of the show, the first season premiered on the streaming media service platform Netflix on July 15, 2016. I really doubt that the behind-the-scenes driving force of the American TV series Stranger Things is the Illuminati. After all, Hollywood has long been controlled by the Illuminati. Those high-level executives in charge of decision-making power may still have lizard men lurking. Circumstances are programmed in film and television dramas. These Dracos and Anu beings in this incarnate matrix are just basically empty shells. They're just the flesh avatars for the real demonic spirits to operate in, who are from these black hole pits, these other demonic dimensions. And then go into that in a bit. So the Spider Lord This is the Spider Lord in one of the scenes of Stranger Things second season. Okay, so it says it's 2005 Guardian material. Okay, the Cathedron Awakening, page 25. The Patala race would be happy to assist your Veka, Shoshonata, Anu, because interbreeding with the race of your Veka system would allow their potential genetic incarnating into your Vekas. This way they can escape their self-created quarantine in our system to seek dominion over your Veka territory. In this way they wish to feed their own black holes to delay its eventual inevitable implosion. Okay, because these black hole systems, right, what's gone on, they're locked in time and space, okay, which means that they're shut off from the eternal flows of God source, the pre-sound light matter, the pre-matter light and sound fields that otherwise come in and restore and regenerate in order to allow material things in material manifestation to exist for eternity. Okay, so this is what it means. It gets to a certain point when the amount of quanta that is otherwise being created when there's a black hole distortion created due to wars and, you know, a lot of high energy frequency weapons that are being, you know, used in these wars and these stargates that otherwise create these distorted reverse mathematics and polarities, then suck what's obviously surrounding it into its black hole system. Well, it's only got a finite amount of energy within it, quanta within it, before it kind of implodes in on itself and isn't able to sustain itself because it has to eat on other organic living systems that otherwise are provided for by the eternal flows of source. Okay, so this is why their agenda, the modus operandi, is to find living systems to feed off of, because yes, they are immortal, but their mortality is dependent on having to feed off other living systems. Okay, so it's very dangerous going up against entities that basically plan their whole existence in organizing tactics, weapons and methods to take down whole multi-dimensional universal Veka systems in order to feed and fuel their existence. Okay, because that's their only identity they have, that's their only sole purpose, is to just survive. And unfortunately, if you really dig deep into that, well, a lot of what they're doing is always coming from a very deep fear. Okay, because they know that they're going to be annihilated if they cannot ever harness more energy to feed off of. Okay, but make no mistake, they are a very formidable foe. If you're going up against these guys, you know, just you've got to be ready, which we all are, but it's, you know, you don't dice with the devil without being prepared, basically. So it goes on, what's it saying here? This way they can escape. Yeah, no, I said that. So the Shonata race began hybridizing experiments with the Patala race through a series of wormholes between the corresponding coordinates within your Veka's Universal Stargate 9 Andromeda system in our system's Patala black hole extend. The Patala in our system has existed for a long time under the black hole isolation caused by itself. Therefore, they are the carriers of the Patala virus and the cause of their downfall. The potential threat of the Patala virus is still possible. Control will not pose a direct threat to you in our Veka life system. When your Shoshonata Yahweh Anu race of your Veka opens the wormhole door into the Patala black hole, the long-covered Patala virus quarantine was broken and spread across you in the form of a retrovirus Veka, which causes mutations within the RNA template rather than the virus affecting the DNA template here. So the Patala retrovirus, as this Andromeda plague became known, allowed the Patala race from this system to directly access the Shoshonata Anu's RNA, then DNA template. Mutations in the RNA lead to a distortion of the transcription process from DNA coding to RNA to amino acid building and protein synthesis, which results in mutated elements that reverse code RNA to mimic DNA and code protein, overturning the organic program. By directly accessing the Anu RNA DNA template, this is the Anunnaki, the fallen Anunnaki race, provided by the Patala retrovirus, the Patala can gradually absorb the resident consciousness within the Shoshonata's body and force themselves into the Anu, snatch the avatar, snatch within the empty shell of the biological form, body snatching basically, possession, okay? In this way, the Patala retrovirus entered your Veka system, universe, multiverse, and with it came the Patala race, wearing the chemically manufactured skin of the Anu. Oh. So what I mean, everything, you know, be careful of appearances. You know, the devil hides his intents, and they're charlatans, they're tricksters. They may appear angelic, but what's operating behind that skin could be something very, very demonic from these underworlds, okay? And that's basically what they're implying here, is what's going on. There's a lot of people that are being body snatched at the moment, just given what is going on with the Jabberwockies, and exactly what's been explained there with how it's attacking the RNA to change the whole protein structure, spike proteins. You get the picture. Spin rates, alignments, vibrations in order to line up with certain portals in order to be pulled one way or the other. Okay, you get the picture of what's going on there. It's the harvest. We're getting ready for the harvest. Harvesting souls to feed their finite existence, basically. So it continues the United Invasion Resistance, okay, the United Intruder Resistance, UIR for short, under the new administration of the Buddhara Shankar L, raised from the parallel Eka fallen field, has systematically activated a series of Buddhara Weesadek wormhole links aimed at merging and awakening the ancient Weesadek and Protala pin systems. These are pylon implant network systems that were independently seeded by these groups before the first power wars were seeded. The translator couldn't help sighing, wow, the villain has changed to a big boss. Okay, these I highly recommend, guys, go to Emerald Covenant if you want to get more of an understanding as to the energy, frequencies and dynamics of what is being done here with grid work, ley lines, in these particular sites, okay, with stargates and everything else that's going on with these temporal crystal bases. Go through this playlist called the MCO Workshop Apin Systems, and it explains tremendously well what is going on and all this particular sites and locations and timelines and histories of interest with earthquakes and the activations of these covert technologies, right? These interdimensional extraterrestrial technologies that have been embedded here on the earth. That is all part of this frequency war that we're a part of, okay? So I highly recommend going and watching that in your own time. So it's just gonna, build on what you're gonna learn through this article too. So, where are we? Next paragraph, so she continues that, or he, whoever this author is, the Patella retrovirus entered the Earth in 2004. Let us count the viruses that appear in society today. Obviously, Omicron, that's the type of draconian race, Alpha, Delta, Noro, A, XBB variants, etc. There are various types of viruses. It can be said to have broken the Guinness World Record. Okay, the invasion of the Buddhara virus prompted the Earth to prepare for starfire in 2005 to deal with the Buddhara gravitron. Because the Earth has lost its ascension potential, it will fall into a black hole after more than 200 years. So the Aurora race came in to host the Earth and help the Earth to connect to the Earth's shield to prepare for star shooting. This is a fast way home. Okay, this is otherwise Ascension. Okay, so this is the consensus, guys. So we haven't got long before there is a split, and this is written in the Bible, the Book of Revelations, right, where there's a separating from the wheat from the chaff. Okay, and this is otherwise talking about the eternal life, Christic, organic mathematics, spin rates, vibrations, energies, and alignments, as compared to the Metatronic, Weesadek, black hole, fall, finite death science, Merkaba activated, alignment, spin rates, energies, frequencies, and mechanics. Okay, and as time goes on, there's going to be a war. There's a bottlenecking that's already happening, and there's a war between how much of the quanta, which is everything you have in existence, including your body, your consciousness, is going to be pulled one way or the other. Okay, this is why it's so important to realise where we are and what's going on, so you can start tuning the body, doing the work in order to come into alignment with the eternal life, true, Christic, organic, highest, best possible timeline of spin rates, vibrations, mathematics, alignments, and frequencies. Okay, and so this is you can easily do this by just repeating that mantra and just speaking to yourselves and instructing them to keep on the best possible, highest, eternal life, Christic, organic timeline of essential mathematics, frequencies, alignments, spin rates, and vibrations and energies. Okay, and just live a positive life, knowing that you are eternal and that there's worlds outside of this infested time matrix that we're in that do exist, that are connected and still firmly established to source, that's feeding the eternal flows, the yang flows, okay, in order for us to perpetuate our existence and live happily and in harmony with one another. We don't have to feed on one another like these parasites and carnivores, which we'll get into, which might change your mind, but obviously we are where we are, and as a result there is good science backing us eating meat and things like this, as long as you're paying your respects and helping that bit of soul content that might be stuck in that animal, especially make sure it's organic and it's been treated well, to release and ascend as well, as it helps you ascend, because they all incarnated here as well to help us on our journey, given the infections that we carry, the kind of ill codes that we carry, which means that we have to eat in order to fuel and sustain our existence, because we are pretty much living in a system that's cut off from a source. Okay, but there is a way out. The emergency exit is there, but it's up to us to be conscious of that fact, knowing where we are, what's going on in the great scheme of things, and the drama that's at play. God's watching. The divine will is here, and ensuring that those who wish and will to be saved and reach salvation will. And I know this for a fact, because these guys, they're fucking ruthless. Okay, these entities, and I've experienced a few of them. I've been out of body countless times, but I've died 4 out of those times, and I was put back into my body, and that was none other than divine will intervening in order to make sure that they didn't take over my vessel, basically. Okay, unfortunately, there's many beings that hasn't happened for, but I think there's particular beings that carry particular codes that are going to have to be, divine intervention is going to step in order to ensure that God's will is met. Okay, and things do play out, even though there will be a big conflict drama. Don't get me wrong. It's always darkest before the dawn, but it's just going to allow more time for more souls to exit out in order to return to heaven, basically. Where we're originally meant to be. But if you believe the human race was created 550 million years ago, according to the teachings, that we were born only knowing war within this system. Okay, the war started 250 billion years ago, and so we've only known war. So at the other end of this, there's going to be immense potential for growth and experience and knowing evil, okay, knowledge of good and evil, and appreciating and respecting harmony in a nice, Christic, beautiful, loving world off the back of this. Okay, that's what I'm looking forward to. And we're going to end up becoming probably the most incredible teachers of the knowledge of good and evil, and the stories we could tell, and all the things that we've been involved with, all of our multidimensional selves right across this time matrix at this time. Your existence implies there's like 27 other versions of yourself running around, all on the same mission, contributing, helping. Some may have fallen, some may have conquered and holding ground and being strong, but at the end of the day, I think we are on the hero's timeline from what I believe. And so the beings here, so I went through this in 2021. I had like probably about 20 occasions where I was in other astral versions of myself in other dimensions, in very precarious situations where they're harvesting me and feeding off me, where I had to escape. So I used my consciousness here, based on the work that I've done here, to travel into these other bodies to save them and pull them out of harm's way. And there's a great movie that kind of depicts this interdimensional crossover of your other selves going off and experiencing other realities that are all connected. Is everything everywhere all at once? There it is. And this otherwise explains it absolutely. Again, another movie that explains perfectly, allegorically, what is going on with our multi-dimensional reality and other selves that are out there experiencing, these systems and dimensions. So here you go. You got a few still clips of what's going on. This antagonist in season 4, they've done a good job with that. With that entity, it's pretty scary. At the end of the second season, the stills of little 11 closing the entrance. So there's her at the end of the second season closing the portal, okay, using her supernatural powers. So when I watched the whole show, I saw the shadow of the indigo starseed on 11. Okay, 11 has superpowers, can open and close the entrance, and the characteristics of the indigo children are vividly reflected in 11. Okay, starseed's DNA codes are programmed into Stargate systems to act as Stargate guardians. They have the supernatural potential to open and close Stargates. Because of this, starseeds play an important role in the evolution of Earth. In Earth's forgotten history, the last time level 6 Covenant Ark evacuations were released was in 208 to 216 BC during Brenno's Fall drama, when the Draconian Vassar race invaded Earth and inner Eka Earth through the Covenant Ark of Earth. Okay, don't know what race that is, the Eonarca race was able to force the Eka Stargates, probably the Anunnaki, I don't know, Eka Stargates to close before the Ark autopilot triggered the Covenant Ark to fully open. Due to the activation of the Beast Machine, Blue Sword, and the landing of the Spear of Destiny Falcon in 2002, a regrettable thing happened after 200,000 years. Okay, the eternal Eka Stargate was opened by the invaders again. Okay, Apo the Destroyer prophesied in Revelation. Okay, Lund successfully opened the gate of the region. And there's an interesting movie called Shanghai and the Legend of the Ten Rings, where I believe this depicts this opening of the portal that happens in inner Earth. Okay, so they get together and they end up finding a portal that takes them into inner Earth, where there's a bunch of guardians, and there's this shadow dweller demon, okay, that is otherwise on the other side of this portal, that one of the beings on this side, who is the father of this guy, okay, ends up getting possessed, or has, you know, whispers from this entity, which is this shadow dweller here, demon, in order to go into inner Earth, defeat the guardians, and conquer and open up the portal to allow what he believed was his lost wife to be brought back so they can have a union. But obviously it's this demon playing tricks on him. Okay, and so they get a bit of help from this otherwise Christic dragon, which is part of the Aquari, okay, dragon race lines, who are here, okay, and they're very powerful beings. I believe I'm connected to one of these races, okay, but there are a load of Aquari that have fallen. Unfortunately, this is why us Aquari are here to help the fallen ones come back into the Christic way of, you know, energies, philosophies, and, you know, codings. But these entities that come out of the portal, they pick people up and they suck their souls. Okay, and you can kind of see there's one depicted here with the scene, which otherwise is exactly, you know, what these entities do. They feed off other living beings and their souls. Okay, because soul, at the end of the day, is your consciousness, and what's consciousness? It's all energy. Okay, and this is what they need to feed off of in order to become stronger and to perpetuate their existence. Okay, so these beings, don't get me wrong, they're very real. You know, very, very real. And you've got many variations of them. Okay, but only, like I said, I expect you probably have been involved at some level, interdimensionally, your higher self. Okay, but you only be ready to recover those memories when you're ready. Okay, so it's a frequency thing, and it can scare a lot of people, and it can trigger a lot of trauma response, which would not be advantageous at this time for someone to be able to hold positive energy and loving energy. This is otherwise a depiction here. You can see the soul kind of being sucked up and through into this to feed this entity. Again, this is otherwise what goes on, unfortunately. And it's linked to these bat beings. Okay, there's many different hybridization programs. Whatever you can imagine is real. Okay, basically, just put it that way. Whatever you've seen in any kind of portrayal of demons or entities and monsters and movies, they all exist. They all exist. Okay, they're all there. So, let's continue. And this is the portal that you can see that they're trying to open or close. So here we go. In the real world of the Earth, the door, the wormhole connected to Abaddon, okay, was opened by CERN through particle collision experiments. At the cosmic galaxy level, when the Yahweh Anu race opened the wormhole door and entered the Patala black hole, the Spider-Man Patala virus isolation was broken and took the opportunity to invade our world. At the beginning of the third season of Stranger Things, the secret government opened the entrance to the parallel and reverse world through the Collider experiment, and spider crawlers spread through the cracks to invade the world. I see a striking similarity between the show and reality, where the government conducts a secret experiment, opens a rift in time and space, causes spider demons to invade, and superpower starseeds fight against them. Stranger Things really embodies our real world situation. There must be a reason why this show has become a hit. I think the Illuminati are behind the scenes, absolutely. Yeah, they know to a certain degree what's going on, even though a lot of them are misguided by the fallen angelics, who they see, the Illuminati flesh and blood minions down here, see as their gods, holding the secrets of the universe, but in reality, they're kind of misled in order to create all these technologies and do all these things. By the time it's done, they realise what they've done, it's almost too late. They're like, fuck. But this is the modus, the maxim of universal law, in order to disclose to the public, you know, what is actually going on, show them the truth. It's universal law, and if silence is acquiescence, unfortunately, if we go and watch these movies and we kind of consent, we otherwise sit in our hands and do nothing, whilst this happens behind the scenes, it's just seen as us consenting and not doing anything about it, so it's allowed under divine will for it to play out. Okay, so this is all part of our awakening, and regaining our power is to remember our ability to say no, and to say enough is enough, and to shine light on this and be able to talk about this and just dispel this satanic amnesiac programming that people are running, which I think a lot of them are NPCs until you actually reclaim back your subconscious, you know, shadow version of yourself, where a lot of these programs of these artificial intelligent run subconscious scripts are being engineered and running through us in order to perpetuate this kind of ignorant cradle to grave, you know, growing up, following what your parents are doing, get a kid, get a house, get a mortgage, get in debt, be taxed, you know, from cradle to grave, and just perpetuate this insanity until you end up running out of quanta and you just don't exist anymore, or you end up being a little kind of minion for a demonic entity in these shadow dimensions. You know, it's sad. It's sad, but you know, you've got to stay positive, and this is part of bringing the shadow to light. Is you know, facing the darkness with a smile and knowing that you are so strong and that we can overcome all this, no matter how bad it is. Okay, because God's got our backs. And belief, that's where it all starts. Belief, right? So powerful. I know it's difficult. You know, things they've done to us, the blank slate technology, come in, incarnate. It is a bit of a mission. It's an uphill battle. But for starseeds especially, we've got the ability to creep frequency like crazy, like freaks. Okay, and that's why they're scared. They are definitely scared, and that's why, you know, the 144,000 in the Bible, I believe, are linked to the starseeds from the higher dimensions, carrying the higher codes, in order to help anchor the energy here, in order to prevent or at least stymie these guys of doing what they want to do. Okay, and just holding ground. It's almost like hosting a bridge. Okay, supporting a bridge. All of us are here together supporting a bridge of frequency in order to allow more and more souls to get out of this place. Okay, for when the time comes, but we shall see. We shall see what happens. You know, don't quote me on any of this. Just discern, go away, and time will tell what happens. Okay, just got to stay positive regardless. We are warriors. Never forget that. So it's a good representation, actually, interpretation of the kind of geomancies that are used in the finite depth science of the reverse, you know, fallen angelic systems, Metatronic systems. So Sergio Bertolucci, okay, director of scientific computing at CERN, said something could come out of this door, or we can send something through it. At the beginning of the third season of Stranger Things, the Soviet government used the high-intensity electromagnetic energy of the collider to break through a time crack, and the spider crawlers of the reverse world took the opportunity to spread and invade from the crack. The experimental scientists at CERN know exactly what they are doing. I deliberately counted the collider running in the play. There are exactly 8 leaves on the runner. Okay, this is a regular octagonal geometric design that simulates the Large Hadron Collider. 8 is to run the base 8 reverse current of the black hole race. Okay, that's their frequencies. That's what they're locked into, finite. As a special reminder, it is no coincidence that spiders are arthropods with 8 legs. Okay, this is a real good reason why some of these creatures, right, snakes, spiders, you know, they've been all spawned and born out of a lot of these darker black hole pit, reverse run hell realms, okay, dimensions. Okay, so there's a reason why there is a deep inbuilt fear, which is what is probably, you know, made us survive for so long, because yeah, it is a representation in the flesh, like these signs and symbols are of the demonic realms. The Metatronic reverse run Merkaba, energies, frequencies, alignments, and mathematics. Okay, so this is why we've got to be so careful. We've all been brainwashed into believing and venerating these signs and symbols and philosophies, and not realizing the real larger picture of all of our existence, which is why it's so much more favorable to come in at a macroeconomic view, which is what I loved about, or macro universal view, which I loved about Ashiana's teachings, is that it gave us a place in the map of existence, and realized that, holy shit, everything we've been told, all the programs that have been taught, philosophies, and a lot of the spiritual New Age movement was contrived to pull people into the alignments of the Metatronic races, the black hole fall timeline. Okay, and so this is why it's so important to study this shit and to snap out of, yes, okay, fine, we might have gotten some tattoos of some reverse Merkaba, I certainly have. Okay, but when you wake up, you can work to transmute these geometries and not let them have power over you. And this is the whole point moving forward, that we can't be double-minded, we can't be duplicitous, knowing what we know and just turn the other way because it's too much to bear. We've got to choose eternal life or finite life. Do you want to be prey, be fed on until you inevitably return to, you know, space dust, or are an immortal being basically being used under a hive mind collective for a demon, an overlord, okay, in order to go and penetrate and try and break into other universal systems? No, I don't think you'd want to. No one, if you presented them that choice, and gave them full disclosure would want to choose that for their fucking future. You know what I mean? So we can't be double-minded. I know it's difficult. We live in a world where we're carrying these codes, which there's a lot of conflict going on, you know, inside each and every one of us. But the only way you can transmute that shit is by becoming conscious of what's going on. Okay, and the geometries, the energies, and everything that's going on, that's happening, in order for you to transmute that stuff. And that's the art of the healer. That's the art of the true spiritual warrior at this time. Okay, it's the ability to recognize the enemy. Remember, until you know evil, you know nothing. Okay, and unfortunately evil, we've incarnated into an evil place. We've taken on evil codes, mentalities, philosophies, subconscious scripts. However, we've also come in with very high Christic light codes that is shining the light to transmute and ascend this bullshit. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So there's a perfect representation of the Taoist or Taoist 5 elemental martial arts, which is representing this finite fib of no chi spiral duality, which locks in this kind of black hole system of energy eating itself, whereas the yang and yang flows, okay, if I've got a representation of this here, hopefully shows you how energy should be pouring in. Okay, I should have some images here somewhere, just have a look that show this. So yang yang, natural flow; yin yang, unnatural flow; poison apple, twisted Merkaba effect. Okay, you've got the 55 degree. This is kind of in lines with one of their fallen black hole systems, which is why they love the 55. It kind of links into their wormhole network. Whereas the Christic Merkaba vehicle aligns with organic stargates, which lead to organic ascension Christic systems. So you know, this is why they tilted the earth. This is why all of this is perpetrated in the New Age. These symbols, mixed martial arts. You know, we're getting sucked into this. So you've got the flower of artificial life, static dead light pattern, okay, in all these different spirals that otherwise represents the anti-Christic mathematics and energies, okay, of the B system 666, Metatron, the Saturn councils, okay, which is basically the main link and portal hub, wormhole hub that they're using for our solar system in this system, local system. Okay, which is siphoning energy via the Saturn Moon matrix. Again, the moon. Everything tied to the moon is otherwise fallen angelic. Okay, which is a lot of what the Eastern philosophies are, the Asian mixed martial arts, the lunar calendar. People venerating the moon, they're not realizing what they're fucking venerating. They're venerating a parasite in the sky that is literally a symbolic representation of the all-seeing eye above the pyramid, which is of an Illuminati Luciferian descent. Okay, you can imagine Lucifer, it's the observation tower. Okay, and it's otherwise part of the 666B's technology that harvests souls and wipes your memory when you come in here and helps scramble DNA so you can't put it back together, your memory matrix. Okay, so all these things, you know, you've got to consider. You can see the split. This is the split. And we're arriving at this point here where you've got the finite death timeline, Metatronic death spiral, and then the Christic spiral coming back to organic ascension. And this is the path, right, that people are going to have to choose consciously to want to ascend to. Okay, there it is, the split. We're in it. And you're going to feel it. We're feeling it. I'm feeling it. There's this battle energy. Everyone can feel it. Because otherwise, you know, at least got fucking their 4th DNA strand activated. Or 3.5 strands activated. You should be able to start feeling this stuff. Okay, and there's the eternal life representation, the tri-wave unity open loop system. And this is the bi-wave polarity closed system, which is the Vesica Pisces. The fib of no chi spiral, the crystal spirals, 2 completely different mathematics. And I mean, hardly anyone knows about this stuff. The Metatronic tree of life, it's the Kabbalah tree of life. That's the inverted Metatronic tree of life, artificial ascension. Because there is ascension, but there's ascension through the demonic realms. And there's the Kathara, okay, organic grids, which is of 12s. Alright, and then you got above that 13th, the 12 bridges, the 13th gate, which is why the Ark of the Covenant gate, which is what Jesus passed through, was the 369. And the 369 is up here, it goes straight up to 12 and then 13. And I was showing this in the astral, that's why I've got the 13th mark on my hand with the Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is linked to Lyra in that part of the sky, which is where Stargate 12 is. which connects to Stargate 13, which is overriding a lot of the demonic artificial mechatronic currents, which is why they've come after me and a few others that were kind of connected in the same shield, in order to try and get our codes. Because once they come into this body that's carrying these codes, and they can, you know, take over avatars such as myself and other beings here on this planet, the Indigos, then they've got control of the Stargates as well, and they can then start recoding it to match up with their wormhole structure and pull things into their demonic realms, their black hole systems. Okay, all the joys of knowing all this stuff. Okay, so yeah, there you go. The spider, octagonal geometry. You got the element. It's self-explanatory. There's the CERN Hadron Collider. There's also another movie that I watched on Amazon Prime that had the Hadron Collider in as well, which is quite good. Let me just look this up. And again, it just showed about time travel with that at CERN. And there's a lot of Osiris, Egyptian mythology in there, which obviously the Freemasons love, okay, with being resurrected, born again, etc. Horus. Amazon Prime, Hadron Collider film. Let's see where I forgot what it's called. Symmetry, maybe Symmetry, Super Soul, Super Collider. I can't remember. Anyway, it's on there anyway. It's an action movie. Came out I think last year, 2022. And it just keeps reincarnating or coming back into the same point in time in the morning. Okay, and its basically the whole job is to try and close the loop or transcend past the loop. And there's quite a few others as well. There's loads of films that's depicting this time travel. Okay, so they know it's happening, it's going on. We're part of it. The Super Soldier guys, they talk about the 20-year and back. Okay, time travel where they take very high vibration souls, indigos, and they fracture their soul identity, and they use part of their soul to animate clone versions of themselves, which are enhanced with cybernetics, femtotech, which basically turn them into super soldiers to then go off and do more of their crusades and conquering around the galaxy to help take over more planets, more star systems, implement more of the Metatronic wormhole structure and networks in order to completely consume this whole time matrix to try and, you know, pull it in and under. So it's a real operation going on. It's fucking crazy, but it's immense. And to be honest, pretty cool. So we got here, continued. CERN's official spokesperson declared CERN's research arouses people's reverie, which is why CERN plays an important role in many science fiction works and even movies around the world. So far as I know, there are 3 films and television drama was created on the background of the CERN Large Hadron Collider. The film and the television drama was created on the back of the CERN Large Hadron Collider. After the great success of Stranger Things, Netflix continued to replicate this model and launched a German film and television drama, Darkness. Disney is not to be outdone and has produced a French version of Parallel Universe Boys with similar themes, all of which tell the story of parallel time and space triggered by particle collision experiments. The Disney production team simply saved trouble and copied the CERN Collider model directly in the play. Okay, and we got here Stranger Things. This is 11 looking at the reptile spreading out the cracks in time and space. If you've got a reptile coming out your crack, then yeah, it's not a good sign. Or any kind of demonic entity coming through the crack. You don't want. You've got to close your crack. Okay, people, keep your cracks closed. All right, stop messing around. Cabal, government, Illuminati, stop fucking about with these cracks. Okay, cover your crack, fucking idiots. There must be some unawakened readers who think it's just an American TV series, but it can also be related to our real life. Superpowers, remote viewing, parallel worlds, tearing of time and space, opening of wormholes, spider invasion. What a rich imagination. I'll say that's the brilliance of the screenwriting. Adults generally don't believe in the supernatural, but kids do. They have a strong curiosity and even take practical actions to explore mysterious events. Therefore, the screenwriter set the protagonists as several children and carried out film and television exposure from their perspective. So why do you think kids, by the time they reach the age of like 7 or 9, their imaginations just get shut off because of all the fucking fluorides, and especially now the Jabberwockies. There's a war. They know that there's so many high vibrating beings coming in this planet at this time, which they need the target to switch off, because we're coming in like X-Men, mutants, that if we wake up and activate, we're a problem to them. I mean, even asleep, we're a problem to them, because unconsciously, we're carrying very high codes that are running very high frequencies. Okay, so this is why the agenda of keeping the frequencies locked down on the planet, because it is a frequency war. These beings can't exist and penetrate into realms where there's too much of a high frequency. It's just like sunlight to a vampire with these guys. That's the whole point. of the indigos and the starseeds incarnating at this time, even though maybe, don't know how many percentage of them have woken up, even if they've taken on, the Jabberwocky, there's a potential for them to transmute that shit. Okay, the universe does not present any problem without a solution, but like with any healing of any ailment, the first step in healing is becoming aware of the sickness. Once you're aware of the sickness, then you can decide, okay, I wish to heal. Lead me to what I need to do in order to heal, and you'll be led. Okay, knock and it shall be open to you, seek and you shall find. Speak to yourselves, instruct them. We are the creators, right? And this is the whole point. This is why there's a war on the children especially, and they targeting the children, using the children for what they're doing, in order to spin the blood, opening these portals to, helping to anchor these energies, get these entities in, communicate with them. It's a mess. It is an absolute mess. But yeah, it's like, just remember who you are, how powerful we are, and knowledge is power, and this really help activate and conjure up more energy and give you more purpose, even though we're still able to participate in the fucking circus, right? The brain dead zombie circus out there. You can carry yourself knowing what you know of the back of this, that this is happening, this is going on, and you're very much part of this. And you, by just being here, deciding to incarnate into here, is helping massively. Okay, anchor energies, which is preventing a lot of things that could otherwise, it could be so much worse, put it that way. It can be so much worse, okay? Just put it that way. So we got at the end of the 4th season, okay, due to the opening of the space-time rift, the crust of the entire area of Hawkins Town was torn apart. Few people believe that this opened the door to the parallel and reverse world. Most residents believe that it was caused by natural disasters and earthquakes. Yes, except for those few children and the government that carried out the experiment. So the government used the media and experts to give an authoritative interpretation. The earthquake experts call it an earthquake, natural disaster of unprecedented scale. Is it not the case in our real society? Of course it is. Who would believe that the, whatever that is, Wenchuan earthquake was caused by space-time tearing or scalar pulse technology? I'm sure the sleeping people won't believe it, but the awakened starseeds will. I think she's referring to an actual earthquake here on planet Earth, which again, like I said before, if you go back and watch she gives a good breakdown in this playlist as to certain earthquakes at certain times, which is linked to, these ETs and government flesh and blood minions activating certain technologies down here, which result in an earthquake, and all these so-called natural disasters, right? That the media spin to the rest of the sleeping masses. So in slider 8, okay, in the contemporary drama Guardian Alliance Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order Task Upgrade, that's what that stands for, MCEO, Freedom Teachings, okay, from 1998 to 2010 chronology, related events in page 34. These are all books that you can access. Okay, on January 12, 2010, a magnitude 7.0 earthquake occurred in Haiti. It is estimated that there are 52 times of magnitude 4.5 aftershocks above. Approximately 230,000 people died, 300,000 were injured, and 1 million people were left homeless. The Guardian Alliance, GA, commented that this earthquake was a direct result of the grid activation of the FA White Dragon team, whereby their Alpha Omega grid control base, Cuba, and the Draco Spear of Destiny grid control base, Haiti, successfully connected. Okay, the next step of the FA White Dragon team was seeking to capture the Metatron Graviton Earth Stand Vortex torsion field device located in the Gulf of Mexico and connect it to the Alpha Omega Spear of Destiny grid network in order to use the gravitron to force a rapid pole shift in Earth's geography and geomagnetism by the end of 2012 to complete their Omega Code Final Extinction 2012 agenda. Guys, remember the movie 2012 and After Tomorrow, what that was all about? Again, trying to seed into the consciousness of that time what they wished to bring forth on Earth. Okay, of Christ the Redeemer, look at this. Look, just rubbing it in our faces. This is, honestly, if it wasn't for divine will and starseeds and indigos coming in, this would have come to pass. And there might have been timelines where this was experienced. I've certainly experienced a few flashback memories or timelines possibly where this happened that were bleeding through, where I was wiped out in a fucking huge tsunami and went through all that memory. So I've remembered going through that. So at some point, yes, I believe that did happen. But again, when you know how time works, it's simultaneous. and you can transverse it just like space. There's a lot of, I believe, corrections and trimming the timelines in order to keep us on the best possible timeline. This is why I believe this is the hero's timeline, okay, portrayed in a lot of the movies like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, all of these so-called movies where there's light against darkness. At the end of them all, darkness never prevails. It's always light that wins. Yes, at what cost? You could ask yourself. It does go down to the final fucking hour, right? And it's always darkest before the dawn, it seems, but then the light always wins. And it does seem like this incredible tragedy, this incredible drama that's, you know, taking place, that is of the hero's journey, okay? And that's what we're all kind of playing out at the moment, I believe, based on my experiences. So yeah, that would have come to pass in 2012, okay? But as a result of God intervention, divine will, and all of us here, we diverted that, okay? But it doesn't mean that, you know, we're out of the woods yet. There's still a frequency war going on, and there's many demonic techniques being used to try and make sure they trap as many as they can. So February 27th, 2010, a magnitude 8.8 earthquake struck Chile. Guardian Alliance commented that this earthquake was a direct result of the fallen angelic White Dragon team, the Waje Ata Wingdong, Wingmakers allies, activating the Broken Arrow site in Cusco, Peru. Okay, Team White Dragons, Yingdong allies attempt to activate the 7 Broken Arrow sites and the corresponding PKA-7 Lord Seals to amplify the strength of the Metatron Alpha Omega Spirit Destiny grid network, hoping to capture the Metatron Beast Gravitron Stand Vortex TF device, controlling the Gulf of Mexico in order to use the graviton to force a rapid pole shift in Earth's geography and geomagnetism by the end of 2012 to complete their 2012 year Omega Code Final Extinction agenda. Okay, at the MUG 44 seminar on April 2nd to the 4th in 2010, the Guardian Alliance successfully activated the 12 to 24 Ancient Arrows Guardian Alliance site under the coordination of the Christ Time Wave, thus preventing the 7 Broken Arrow sites activated by FA White Dragon Yingdong ally. Okay, there's a bit of a typo there for the translation, but note, the earthquake in Chile did not result in many deaths or injuries, but according to rumours in some sectors of the scientific community, the size of the quake actually moved Earth's magnetic polar axis longitudinal rod slightly, and thus slightly shortened and accelerated the Earth time. This is exactly what the Metatron FA team has been doing slowly and incrementally over a period of about 13,000 years, and they hope to reach critical mass before the end of 2012 to activate the 55 Metatron Death Star. The gradual acceleration of Earth's time forces the Earth to align with the BPR of the PKA parallel Earth and the fallen angelic PK annular rift Atlantean black hole subtemporal anomaly fields. Okay. In the 4th season, there is a game-playing organization called Hellfire. The word Hellfire sounds a bit familiar. I remember it was a secret project of the military. I tried to recall and finally remembered. Al Billick once revealed over, in 1983 there was a special project involving research, and when the Montauk base was destroyed, it was restored in 1987 when it was rebuilt. It was called Project Hellfire at that time. I responsible for that phase, including retrieving an object from a planet on the other side of the galaxy, 120,000 light years away. The project is highly specialised and remains highly classified. This once again proves that the blueprint for Stranger Things is the Montauk experiment. Film and television, or gamification reveals, have become more common, and the name of this project was also designed as a game called Diablo Hellfire. Interesting. So in the 4th season of Stranger Things, a character possessed by a spider demon is set. His name is 001 Vecna. Okay, check it out. This is Vecna. He's fucking done a pretty good job there. Pretty sexy looking entity, right? The spider tentacles. Love it, mate. Among the dozen or so selected experimental children, Little 11's superpower is the only one that can stand shoulder to shoulder with 001, okay? Again, star seeds, and the only ones that can stand shoulder to shoulder with these entities. The reason why it's called 001, right, is because he's the first selected subject in the secret experiment, right? So there is a hidden past storyline between, you know, this entity, Vecna, and the girl 11. A little spoiler, Vecna was previously driven into the parallel and reverse world by Little 11, and she closed the time and space entrance. In the 1st season, the subconscious monster in 11 actually refers to Vecna. Okay, Vecna, who fell into the reverse world, was possessed by the spider devil and then used 11 to re-tear the space-time rift. The conception of the whole play takes into account the overall situation and is meticulous. It was not until the 4th season that the foreshadowing of the first 3 seasons was revealed. After Vecna was thrown into the Upside Down world by 11, he found extraordinary things there. A huge and dark spider demon king, waiting to absorb human souls. Vecna became the first human degenerate in the reverse world. He sold his soul and established a spiritual link with the spider demon king, and finally transcended the human form and became a spider predator. The details in the film deliberately highlight the spider form of the predator. The above screenshot shows the spider he raised under the dark compartment of the floor when he was a child, implying that the grown-up Werner released the spider. Okay, the spiders in the dark compartment remind me of the patella that has existed for a long time under the isolation of the black hole. They take advantage of the opening of the wormhole to invade the Earth. The Guardians call the patella race spider people, and they carry the patella virus. By directly entering, this is important, by directly entering the Anu RNA DNA template provided by the patella retrovirus, the patella can gradually absorb the resident's consciousness within the body of the Shosho Nata and force themselves into the Anu avatar, snatching them effectively within the empty shell of the creature, okay, in their form. In this way, the patella retrovirus entered your Vecna, which is our universal system. With it came the patella race, wearing the chemically manufactured skin of Anu. Okay, it's basically how body snatching works. That's what let's get into. Is it really just a coincidence? I think Stranger Things interprets the patella spider body snatch perfectly. In fact, Vecna has an evil thought in his natural bones. We can regard Vecna as the Anu race. He provided the DNA template of the body to the spider demon, and then the patella spider man can gradually absorb the resident consciousness in Anu's body and force themselves into the shell of Anu's biological form to snatch the incarnation. Okay, Vecna, who was absorbed by the spider demon king, became Spider-Man, followed by the patella spider race, wearing the chemically manufactured skin of Anu, which is Vecna. Okay. So why did Patella open the entrance to the black hole? To take our world. You know who wants to take over the world? Patella, maybe called the Mind Flare. In the play, it is called the Mind Flare, you know, and Flare means the Skinner, the robber. If the devil was just a little, you know, his little foot soldier, the Vecna is his 5-star general. He's talking about, you know, obviously this guy sold his soul. He's kind of like one of the generals on behalf of the Mind Flare, which is the big spider entity. If the devil was just, Vecna is his 5-star general. A 5-star general, it can open the entrance. Okay, I hope you can understand what I said here. The seamless switching between TV series and reality. Pay attention to follow the train of thought so as not to drop the line. Okay, the Spider-Man, Vecna, who turned black into a predator, began to kill. The predator has been looking for prey to kill. This is the program. This is so important, guys. This part is so important. This is exactly the sickness that's been brought in to our time matrix, okay, which is gonna rock your world, and really make you question this existence and where the fuck we are and what is normal and what is abnormal. Okay, so the predator has been looking for prey to kill. This is the programming design of the spider virus invading our matrix. Bolger from Black Hole Systems implanted a virus with AI programming into our matrix, creating a time rift using victim perpetrator software technology. In order to maximize life force energy from the death of living flesh creatures, energy parasites were introduced into the Earth's food chain to link genetic networks to further engineer predator-prey behavior. This introduces cannibalism and meat eating into the food chain, genetically mutating all Earth inhabitants to better match the parasitic habits of predator-prey archetypes and invasive reptilian species, and also making them easier to control, colonize humans in the body. The insertion of predators at the top of the food chain was used to genetically mutate human DNA in the dark loop to harvest more energy from the predator-prey archetype when animals and humans were killed. When any animal or human dies in the predator-prey archetype of the food chain, more intense energy is released from both sides, playing the role of predator and prey, and the intensity of this kill maximizes the energy chain reaction of harvest. Loosh. Predator-prey food chain manipulation has also been used in many human wars and Holocaust timelines to maximize the pain and suffering caused by these parasitical extra-dimensional entities. Boom! Fucking perfect breakdown of exactly the distortions that are being run and the techniques used through these programming, artificial intelligence, all this technology, these demonic spirits, consciousness, working through technology, working through the reverse coding of the bodies they snatch in order to have a presence in the material world, to perpetuate and release the spirit from incarnated bodies so they can feed off them through blood sacrificial rituals of wars, holocausts, so-called natural disasters, etc. So in areas of the earth that have a history of brutal massacres, tortures, deaths, rapes and killings, there are swarms of extra-dimensional parasites that can be sensed or observed in exact locations, where they go to feed on negative emotional energy. At the exact moment the bomb went off, killing the populace in the terrorist attack, for example, there were hordes of entities waiting there to eat. The parasite serves the role of the predator archetype, while the killed organism serves as the prey archetype. This anti-life reversal will not stop feeding predatory parasites unless humanity chooses to stop wars and end all human and animal blood sacrifice on Earth. Okay? It's very real. Why do you think we need to eat? Because we're running this distortion. We are carrying the codes of this fucking virus within this system. Okay? And so universal, Christic, organic, eternal life, harmonious, loving system, we will not need to eat other life forms. We will just live off the prana, the chi, the mana, and the eternal life force and flows from source. And there's no need to just be our breath. We'll be breathing plasmas and energies. Okay, with no need to eat other living things, even plants. Plants are living. Everything's living. Everything's consciousness. However, like I said before, given what we're doing, there is intelligence. You got to look at the environment that we're in, the bodies that we have, and yes, there is intelligence in eating. Okay, in order to fuel, garner energy, in order to perpetuate the work that needs to be done here, with knowing in the back of your mind, being mindful of the life and the service, paying your respects, reverence and honour and love to the being that has given its life, and even the plant. Okay, pray over it and help release it through your vessel, as your vessel is also a conduit to transmute its soul quanta back into its high collective and help it ascend whilst it helps you ascend. So there's a give and take. It's a two-way street there. So as long as you're mindful and eating organically sourced, eco-friendly, well-treated, sourced foods, plants and animals, okay, then do that. Because if you're going to be careful with going vegetarian and having that higher frequency foods for the fruits and the plants, because it can create more of a higher frequency static net that can basically hinder your ability to anchor energy into your lower chakras, which is paramount in doing the grid work here and helping to anchor energy on the earth. And it's just going to make you very scatty-brained, which is what Ashiana Dean alludes to, which I shared a clip on my YouTube channel, Mindo89, of her breaking down this explanation perfectly. Okay, but just go off what you feel is best and what's good for you based on the energies that you feel in your body. Some people may be carrying more of the reptilian Draco DNA, thus require more of the meat from animal sources, whereas others may not. Okay, and you can live quite fine off plants and fruits, for instance. And there's even people going breatharian, and that's kind of going back to where we should be. Okay, so again, all these things, they help. Try not to overthink it. Just be thankful and grateful for the life and the food and the energy you're about to consume. Bless it and use your vessel to transmute and help it to ascend too. Okay. So Stranger Things describes that this virus has a hive mind, which can be translated as shared thinking, which is actually hive thinking. The appearance of the deprived Vecna in the play is actually improved after the image of the character Hive. Okay, it's basically, Hive is a supervillain of American Marvel Comics, which debuted in Secret Warriors, created by Jonathan Hickman. The Hive in the comics is the experimental product of the terrorist organization Hydra. The entity is composed of countless genetically engineered parasites. It is a collection of parasites that can possess the memory of the host. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe TV series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Hive was adapted as an experimental product of the Kree, an ancient inhuman race. And there's a depiction there, which is quite interesting. So these kind of octopus entities, again, they're 8, octagonal. Okay, spiders, octopuses, parasites, tentacles, feeding off people. Ashiana, this is Ashiana talking. So some common Patola people who know they are on the side of Anunnaki, they made Anunnaki hybrids called Patola Shantar Els. Since their fall, they often on the opposite side of the crystal rays. But there is another group called the Borgia Patala. These guys are on the side of the red dragons. They are Bolga hybrid race, and the general Patala despise them. The Tala don't want the Bulgars to rule because they don't want their existence to be. It's funny. There's a hidden battle between the fallen angelic factions basically going on as well, amongst all this mess and this carnage, this drama. So this Lisa, over millions of years, two diametrically opposed seed cultures emerged. Bulger from black hole systems implanted a virus with AI programming into our matrix, creating a time rift using victim-perpetrator software technology. The extreme amplification of polarity consciousness due to the programming of artificial intelligence is used to weaponize attacks against other species. These entities were introduced into mainstream society in the Star Trek series as the Borg. The Borg are neuromechanicalistically controlled organisms connected to a hive mind called a swarm. The Borg absorb the knowledge and technology of other alien species into the collective through the process of assimilation, inject nanoprobes into the individual body and surgically enhance them into control elements, thereby forcibly transforming the individual into a cyborg, also known as cyborg, robot, biochemical man, transhumanist agenda basically. Okay, so exactly what we see is going on at the moment with the whole agenda behind the Jabberwockies. So it's a quote out of Star Trek, the Borg Collective: "We the Borg lay down your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological uniqueness to our own. Your culture will adapt to serve us. Resistance is futile." Okay, the author can't help but sigh. No matter the brain-computer interface technology experiment or the injection of a that thing containing nanocomponents, it is all to transform human beings into cyborgs. In terms of the current form of the Earth, Borg may be, more powerful than will still have the upper hand. I'm not really too sure what that means, but we got the power to control our destiny, because we have free will at the end of the day, and they know they have to abide by universal law. Hence why they had to do the whole propaganda behind the fear-mongering in order to engineer and derive and milk consent out of the people, which was quite easy, quite astonishing really how brainwashed the people are, but it really did separate the wheat from the chaff. And unfortunately, yes, their mRNA, their RNA and DNA and the whole cellular spin rates and vibrations, right, angular rotational particle spin are being changed to be set to these wormhole superstructures where they're going to be, sucked into these systems, unfortunately. However, there is plenty of testimony of people who become aware of what's going on to prevent it and say no, and they can heal. Okay, but there's just as much testimony from seers, clairvoyants, energy healers and workers, cranial sacral therapists that go into showing and testifying the difference of them basically being cut off, okay, from their soul and their spirit from people who have been, whacked. And there's a really good PDF actually, which I'll probably do another video on because it is very very interesting and is otherwise, proving and testifying a lot of what, we otherwise already know of what's been going on. Here we go. So it's from the spiritual perspective, consequences and soul and spirit, and the life after death. And this is a famous saying from Rudolf Steiner, even back in 1917, who kind of foretold this time. People will be inoculated against their disposition towards spiritual ideas. The materialistic physicians will be entrusted with the task of expelling the souls from mankind. And kind of, this is basically what's been going on. So this is a great little PDF by Thomas Mayer, which compiles a lot of the testimonies from people who are seeing these elementals from what's being done, the spirits and the energies and the changes in behavior in people and what they're picking up on. Okay, so I'll leave a link down below for you to download and read, but I'll probably do another video on this because this is really interesting and very, very true. I mean, the rise of the Antichrist consciousness is here, and this is what we're witnessing. The emergence of this kind of cyborg, transhumanist, anti-Christic, AI-generated consciousness that's sweeping in to kind of take over and take control as like hive minds. And it's got, the breakdown of all the spirits, adversary spirits. And it's even got, the actual, Jabberwocky beings. So it says every Jabberwocky has a being in the spiritual world, a kind of living original idea. One can also say group soul and group spirit. This is not an abstract idea, but multiform spirit, space filled with consciousness and being structure. With the vaccination, those enter the human aura. Fuck, I said it, didn't I? Oh, well. Work within it. In such case, there is the great inoculation being in the lower layers of the spiritual world, and at the same time smaller replicas, one could say, descendants working in the human aura. The inoculation being is connected with other spirit beings which give it a special character. For example, if it's connected with certain aromatic beings, they work through the inoculation being in the inoculated person. If it's connected with serratic spirits, then serratic spirits gain access into the members of the being, the human being. And this is so true. So I remember when this was all rolling out, okay, I had an astral experience, and it goes here, it says there is a great, inoculation being done in the lower layers of the spiritual world. I was in the astrals, and I was set up in a line where everyone was being inoculated, and they were kind of waving the next person along. I was like the fourth person to be met by these two guys in lab coats, where they were calling the person forward, inoculating them, taking them around to the next station, putting on a backpack with kind of cybernetics in it, which are linked to a headset, which they would then put on over their ears, and each and every one of them would go, as soon as that happened, yay, I'm connected to the internet. And then they walk outside the room, and I was kind of like, all of a sudden conscious of my body, looking around me, thinking, fuck. Then the next one, then there was like one person, I kept seeing this being done, and they were kind of walking out the room, there was like a line going out the room, coming in, there was people behind me and in front of me, and it got to me, and the two guys in the lab coat waved me forward, and I said, no, I do not consent, I do not consent to this. And they kind of looked at each other, a bit shocked, and then just kind of moved me out of the way, then waved the next person on, and I was just kind of stood out, observing this going on. So I followed the line outside, then I go outside and I see all these beings on the beach, put in like these army tranches and kind of groups, where they're doing like just getting together and kind of holding together, waiting and kind of making these formations, right? And I looked, there was a silo, and it's all Japanese Kenji writes, so I was like somewhere in Japan maybe, I don't know, it was weird. And there was this dark cloud that started to come over, and then as it got closer and closer, I could see it was actually nanobots, and these nanobots started to descend into these individuals that got so this was a very good spiritual representation for me, a symbolic representation as to what was going on here on Earth. Okay, and I was obviously a bear witness to this, and I've spoken to a few other people as well that during that time they were also trying to inoculate in the lower and higher realms of where we otherwise have our multi-dimensional selves housed at this time, in order to help with what's going on with this drama. Okay, so very, very interesting. Okay, and there's one thing I also noticed, which is obviously, like it says here, in order to gain access into the members of the human being, which again, they're opening portals within. So as within, as without, we've got stargates, portals outside of ourselves. We also have stargates and portals inside of ourselves. And I saw a bunch of these elementals, when I went and did a fast at the beginning of this year. I was like, holy shit, once I read this, I was like, oh my god, it's exactly the same as these beings that I saw beyond a portal within myself that was otherwise covered by a silver crystic sword that was hovering and creating this kind of like invisible membrane that you can almost see, like an energetic barrier, that was holding hordes of these little Grim Reaper entities from coming into my temple. Okay, so they're looking for ways in. These spirits, these beings, it's like a complete takeover. We're being hit from all sides, right, with this drama that's happening. So it was pretty nuts. But I can testify firsthand that this is going on. I've experienced it. So let's wrap this up. It's almost done. Star Trek, is a sci-fi film and television series produced by Paramount Pictures in the United States. In 2010, Paramount Pictures and Marvel Pictures jointly launched The Avengers, okay, which contributed many fictional characters. Okay, take Captain America, the five-pointed star, shield, Cyborg, Iron Man wearing a metal coat. I guess they're referring to the five-pointed star as a reference to, Lucifer and the demonic fallen angelic kind of geometries and stuff like that. Okay. You got Thor carrying the sledgehammer, Spider-Man, who is glorified as a superhero, and a poisonous female spider called Black Widow. Okay, that's about Scarlett Johansson. If you have a Black Widow poisonous spider, you must have Venom. Okay, which again is another movie with Spider-Man linked to Spider-Man. Okay, the spider's chelicera contains venom, which is used to inject venom into the prey. There are also the Wasp, the Hulk, the Ant-Man. Okay, well, these characters from the Avengers, who do you think they want to avenge? Could it be the Guardian Alliance? Okay, so it's this kind of inversion of us to glorify these heroes, which in reality are probably otherwise the fallen angelics trying to go up against the Guardians. Okay, and maybe Thanos is the saviour in that regard with this mirroring. Who knows? But feel into it. Okay, they obviously like to convolute the truth and the fiction and mix it all in. so it does appeal to us and draws us in, but then we're kind of poisoned with its lies, its deceit, okay, which can make things very confusing to interpret. All right, but that's a really good thing to consider when watching these movies, with the reverse polarity scripts that are run, the mirroring that are run, because we are living in a mirror reality. You know, this whole economic system is based off a mirror system of colourable law, colourable currency, all right, colourable contracts that govern them, and this straw man dead legal entity that they set up in order for us to engage as a conduit, a bridge between the underworld legal system with dead letters and dead corpses, corporations, okay, in order to make us speak with that and contract and act as surety and accommodation party to that. They have to create our name in all caps in this legal entity that they make us believe is us when it's not, okay, in order to drag us into the underworld. Okay, so there's this mirroring that's going on, that's playing out, that many people consented to unconsciously because they do not know who they are, what's going on, because they have been, you know, heavily brainwashed and targeted as a result of all this. But again, like I said before, the only remedy is knowledge and waking up and becoming aware, awake, aware, and able, in order to transmute and shine light to the shadow, so the shadow becomes no more, and there'll be no dwellers of darkness and no hidden tactics and technologies or weapons that are used against us, because we know, okay, we know exactly what they're getting up to and what they're doing. So very, very interesting. Infinity Wars, that whole Marvel series, again, reveals a lot of time travel, space, intergalactic warfare, Star Wars, the same, Star Trek. They're all telling us this story that we've all been a part of for so long. You know, that's finally kind of playing out. It's final script. You know, it's the end times drama, final conflict drama. We're in it. It's fucking nuts. So she concludes, you know, we are living in a mixed world that's both real and illusory, where the mutual portrayal of reality in film and television is reflected. If you want to know the truth, go to the movies, okay? And this is otherwise the New Testament. You know, the New Testament in this age, everything, all the truth, all the messages, the morals, the stories of what's going on is in the motion scripture, okay? Motion picture. It's in the movies, in the TV shows, in the musics, the songs. This is where they're hiding it. Okay, so you won't ever find a New Testament written down. Probably if it is, it'll be part of all of Ash's teachings, because this is the true original Ascension Mechanics. This is what's going to give you that macro view of putting you on the map, which will take you out of the dogma of all the reverse run Metatronic subconscious scripts, philosophies and ideas and ideologies that have been imbued into this world like a virus, even to the point of thinking that we don't even need to eat. There is no shadow, there is no night in these eternal life Christic systems. I mean, try and comprehend that. Anyone got any memory of that, where there's no night? There's just perpetual day and perpetual energy. It's going to do things eternally. It's just crazy. And you've got the ability to transverse dimensions upon dimensions and universal systems to have experiences with other beings, with your true twin flame, your soulmate, knowing what love feels like and connecting to source, not having to eat other fucking things like a parasite. So it's you know, perspective is key, context is key in trying to understand any subject, and this is invaluable context that this woman has brought in on the planet, otherwise portrayed in her 2 books that you can read, you know, which is Voyages 1 and Voyages 2, okay, and all of her lectures, and all of the diagrams, etc., and techniques, okay, but just feel into it. Obviously, you know, follow, at the end of the day, you've got all of this written, inscribed in your DNA, okay, it's just a matter of accessing it, remembering who you are, and rising up, awakening and ascending, okay, ascending, okay, and this is what I feel is going on. This is what we need to do, given with what's happening, as we can see quite evidently. The assimilation process is well underway with the chemtrailing. I mean, there's rarely a day that goes by when they're not fucking spraying this hazy mess in the sky, which I miss this, you know, beautiful crystal blue sky with puffy natural clouds. It's just all this hazy mess of street lines. It's just insane. And obviously we know what's in that, and it's all part of the transhumanist assimilation, all this artificial technology that's bringing rise to all this antichrist frequency, transhumanist agenda, Cyborg, cybernetics, Neuralink, Elon Musk, and they try and sex it up, right? They try and sell it in order to sex it up, but we know where it all leads. But ultimately, the question is, maybe in order to defeat the machine, we must merge with it. Okay, but be careful of that philosophy. I believe that the eternal life, crystal organic frequencies that are run when they're fully activated will overpower any of this unnatural, metatronic, artificial, antichristic shit. Okay, I think a lot of people, when you feel into that, especially with how I've been able to survive going up against even technologies that have been used against me to like fragment my whole fucking soul into like a million pieces. I remember testifying this when I was in Denver. This light device was shone and beamed into the room and went to sleep that night. I should have been more fucking privy as to, you know, what was going to happen, but I went to bed thinking that I was protected, and then obviously experienced this timeline of being ripped apart along with the earth, which is obviously then projecting possibly this timeline into my psyche to try and help manifest that reality, okay, into the grids, into the collective, for that to happen. And I experienced that. It was horrific. It was fucking harrowing to be able to feel yourself being split into a million pieces and the earth along with it, which we're intricately connected to. Okay, so but I knew as a result of that, you know, something happened that meant that I was back in my body, and you know, everything was fine. And this is the concept of divine will, divine intervention is here. So no matter how dark it may seem and how ugly things may get with like the frequency battles that we're in, I'm like I said, hardly a day goes by when I'm not attacked. Okay, and during the night as well. And there's many beings. This is why, with what's going on, with people who have been, you know, Jabberwockies at this time, and people who are very weak-willed and weak-minded, they are body snatched. Okay, and these entities can otherwise now work through many different bodies. So you might come across a neighbor, your friends or family members, and they might have been fine. And they might be fine on some days, and other days you just experience this kind of, this switch. Okay, and it's because these entities are coming in and out of them just like portals. Okay, humans are portals at the end of the day, and unfortunately a lot of them open themselves up. They're just like a fucking barn door wide open for these beings to come in and animate and manipulate, you know, really get to you through them. Okay, let's be your loved ones, family members, and that's how they get to you. That's how they get to the indigos, is through their closest loved ones. And it's sad, it really is. At the end of the day, you know, if you got that flesh suit in front of you, you got to forgive it. The soul that otherwise animated that you thought was your mother or your father or your friends, is long since gone, and you got to pray that it had gone back to where it should go. And otherwise, this entity that is otherwise masquerading as that person who you think it is stringing you along and keeping you close in order to, again, look for ways in to manipulate, to infiltrate, to weaken you, to drain you, to bring chaos, havoc, you know, into your life, which will just inevitably, you know, siphon and suck more of your energy, which is all part of their agenda, you know, in order to harvest more souls and to weaken the shield and split us and keep us separated. Okay, so the key is to know that you're not alone, you are powerful, we're all here, all connected, even though there is a lot of space in between us all, and we're doing great things, and we're going to stay positive, and we're going to be able to, as true warriors, face the darkness, study the enemy, knowing the enemy, you know, so we have knowledge. We have the knowledge of good and evil, so we can appreciate all that is good, and to not let evil overcome us, because we know that tricks and traps and devices and mechanisms they use and the agendas that are being run, so we can remain vigilant. Okay, fortune always favours a prepared mind. Fortune always favours a prepared mind. Okay, and it's the 6 P's as well. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Okay, so always, every day, every night, do your prayers, speak to yourselves, stay positive, work out, move the body, do your breath work, eat well, drink plenty of water, make sure it's alkaline, it's, you know, distilled, it's, you know, shed from all this bullshit fluoride system, it's clean. Just live a clean life, clean thoughts, clean foods, clean waters, liquids, right? Clean feelings and clean actions. Divine right timing, and just pray to God that you're on the best possible timeline of eternal life, crystal organic, ascension, mathematics, you know, timelines, spin rates, vibrations, frequencies and energies, you get the picture. Okay, it's all about, you'll lead yourself there. You will lead yourself there through those 3 acts alone: thinking, feeling and acting. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys. I think that's pretty much it. You can go away and watch Stranger Things if you haven't now. Fringe TV series is also another good one. There's Vecna. That's another good film, again showing this opening of the portals and how these demons operate, and the help of the Christic Guardians, the Aquari, bless the beautiful Aquari dragons, which is a race. Okay, that there are dragons. There's only one dragon race, the Aquari, that are of a Christic nature. Okay, and they're kind of like purple, whitish, blue, I believe. Then the other dragon races are like the red dragon races, the green. There's a lot of other dragon, the fallen reptilian, Draco dragon races are warring against each other, fighting over the beast technology, which is the blank slate technology, which is used, which is all part of the 666 network. Okay, then you've got the Emerald Covenant teachings, particularly watch this Appian systems, perfect explanation as to the hidden energy pylon network sites. Okay, and so-called natural disasters. Even goes into the Montauk project here, dimensional blend experiment, the Stargates. Okay, and a little bit of the history and the different races. So that's a really good one to watch. And obviously, yeah, start paying attention to the movies. Amazon Prime. Lately, there's been so many movies, right, with time travel. Let's try and see if we can get them up. See them here. Edge of Tomorrow is another one. Time travel, and that's using the Louvre in Paris, where this kind of hive mind entity controlling other sentient beings, okay, in order to protect itself, in order to basically take over the planet. So that's again another revealing TV, a movie, which is revealing a lot of what we've just gone over in Stranger Things, the Montauk project, and these entities. Okay, but there's so many. There's another one, The Tomorrow War, okay, with that actor, I forgot his name. But there's so many. Tenet, okay, is another one, obviously a time travel. And you've got the Tomorrowland, so it's everywhere. It's rich. These movies are very rich. Okay, and this is like the fifth dimension. This is kind of fifth dimensional awareness or fourth dimensional awareness of us being able to scribe the hidden allegories put into these movies. Okay, you've got June, that's another one. When they're mining I forgot the name of the stuff. Anyway, really is a wealth of knowledge hidden in these movies, especially the sci-fi movies. That's the other one, that's it. Action, let's have a look. I think it's in here. The one with the actual Hadron Collider is the main theme of the movie. See whether it's, I can find out the name. Anyway, that thumbnail that I just opened up, you can see here, that is otherwise the main actor of the movie where the CERN is involved, the Hadron Collider, when he goes back in time. There's a lot of symbology with Osiris in the resurrection, okay, which is again is another good one to decode. Okay, but yeah, there should be. I want to probably do this, a whole YouTube channel dedicated to decoding movies. Okay, going through movies and then tying it into what is otherwise being foretold or covered in the Guardian teachings and in any other teachings, whether astrotheology, astrology, prophecies from various sources. Okay, just weaving that web and seeing how it all connects. All right, and you've got Moon Force, another one that's basically, again, depicting what they would have done once there's the wormhole that they would have activated, right, if they were successful between the Earth and the Moon. They would have pulled the Moon in and the Earth to crash, and that force of energy would have then opened up and teared a huge rip in the space-time fabric of a whole multi-dimensional universal time matrix up to dimension 11.5 and sucked it in and under and into the black hole pitfall. Okay, and that's otherwise depicting what that would have probably looked like if that actually happened. Okay, so again, it's kind of like releasing all this information, but there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of time travel going on at the moment. There's a lot of divine intervention. There's a lot of coming back and trimming timelines to make sure that everyone is on the heroic timeline and the best possible timeline. Okay, like I said, it's always darkest before the dawn, but you've got to stay positive and just see it through to the end and stay hopeful. Never let despair creep in. Right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, much love. Stay safe out there. Okay, pray, day and night. Stay positive. Look after yourselves. Your temple is the most important thing. Don't let these fuckers do anything and come into your temple, okay? Because that is the temple of God, and that is what's going to get you back home through ascension. Okay, so treat it with respect, treat it with love and reverence, and yeah, hopefully see you on the other side. But yeah, I'm going to be good. I'm doing some more videos anyway. I think we've got plenty more years yet before that actually happens, but you never know. This is a crazy time we're living in. But yeah, much love and blessings to you guys, and stay positive as always, stay strong, and yeah, we've got this, you've got this, as always. Alright guys, ciao for now, speak soon.